want to bring it back on. I think we have with us Heather Barnhart, digital forensics expert. I think we're either trying to get Tracy Walder back on, but we'll see if we can. But who we do also have is Philip Klein. Now, Philip Klein is a personal protection officer, a security analyst who actually protected Brian Thompson on 3 different occasions between 2005 and 2009. Thank you. Oh, so we have Tracy. I'm glad to have everybody here. Philip, I actually want to start with you. We haven't had a chance to talk. First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, you lost, and with the loss of Brian Thompson, what was your reaction to finding out that news last week? Let's start there.
Well, we were on duty over in Houston, Texas on another sortie, and we were with a client. I was pulled out of the situation by one of my senior agents that advised me that a situation had gone down in New York City earlier that morning, and that it had been somebody that was affiliated with one of our clients. We protected him in Dallas, Texas 3 times between 2005 and 2009. We were hired by the oil company that he was coming to give a presentation to. I found him to be just a wonderful gentleman. He listened to what we told him to do. When you get into the bubble, it's important that the protectee listen to what we tell you to do and what not to do. And we found him engaging conversation. My personal feeling was a little bit of shock. And I think my first question was, well, where was his detail? And they advised me that he did not have a detail. So I was totally confused by that.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about
Sure.
that? Why do you think he didn't have a detail? I mean, he's going to this investors conference in New York City. Yes, it's early in the morning, but any reason why he wouldn't have had a detail?
Well, let's look at him real quick. He makes $10 million a year. He sits on the biggest healthcare company in the United States, if not this continent or the world. So he should have had a detail. So it was one of 2 things. Either he shirked his detail or said, I'm going to New York, I can handle this, I don't need people around me, or his company didn't provide it. We have not heard that part of the story yet. So that's going to be a very, very, very important part of this whole schematic, is that, he did the right things. He stayed at a secondary hotel. That was about the only thing I think he did that was good. I did talk to a couple of friends of mine that are police officers up at New York PD, and they advised me that he did stay. He did go out the night before to a couple of bars by himself. He did not have a detail up there. He did not have a detail around. The healthcare company did not call down there, a representative of the healthcare company, and the detail did not call and say, hey, look, we're coming to town. So it looks like he was going solo. Again, back to the question, how'd that happen? The answer is either he decided he didn't need security or they did not provide it for him. There's no other answer. So we'll find out in the next days, I'm sure, what that story is.
Philip, how readily available is an executive schedule? I posed this question to Tracy before. There's one thing, public information, people probably knew. If you're taking Luigi Mangione as the person who did this, you probably knew when he was speaking and where he was speaking, but to know his movements, to know maybe what hotel he was at, to know that he'd be getting there early, how would somebody have that information about a high executive like that?
So again, it's one of 2 things. Either A, he got lucky. So let's take lucky first. He knew there was going to be a stockholders meeting. He knew he'd be giving a speech to the stockholders meeting. You could have gotten that online on their website, or you could have at least gone to the hotel and looked what the schedule was going to be for the next day, and then come back and then just be standing out there waiting for him to come. That's one. That's called the lucky shot. The other shot is that there's somebody that was feeding him with information that he's not a dumb man. He's a very bright man. He went to some Ivy League schools. He seems, to what I see of him so far and what I watched, I was kind of watching live here, waiting for this hit. I was watching his hearing. I did hear the outburst. He seems like a person of means. It seems like he's a smart man, high intelligence, high IQ. I think maybe he felt that he had a calling or a cause, and that he was going to do the public good. Quite frankly, that tells me he's probably a little mentally off. I heard you guys talking about it, and I think he may be a little mentally off. But again, we'll have to play that out, as I'm sure any good defense lawyer would probably put him into a psychological examination immediately. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of answers to questions that we have in the industry, because we need to know what he did, how he did it, how he planned it, and his mind thought, who he was. Because now we're a little bit worried about copycatters right now. We're all a little bit on edge. My phone won't quit ringing.
Yeah.
We took in 16 protectees over the last, 72 hours. And so we, and some of that is one-on-one. But what we worry about now is the copycatters. They see this guy raising his fist. They see the audience out there that are seemingly in support of this guy killing somebody.
Yep.
I mean, it's mind-boggling for guys like us, but we've done what we've done. We've told our clients, scrub their faces off of the internet, shut down TikTok, shut down Facebook, shut down Instagram for you, your wife or husband, and your children. That's enough. None. And limit their movements. We're limiting our executives' movements. They can operate from home. That's fine if it's a fortified residence. If not, we'll move them to an area to which is an undisclosed area that they can operate out of, and it's nice and they can feel relaxed and comfortable. We've also told some of our longtime clients it might be okay to go ahead and pull the kids from school, and let's go ahead and pack the car, and let's go to grandma's house, or let's go to our second house, or let's go to a place that we know that our guys can set up a perimeter and be able to create some kind of peace and comfort for these families.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because as shocking as the killing was, it's equally as shocking as the reaction. And I think one of the worst things that could happen is if you actually see changes made at a corporate level or a congressional level because of this response. And I've said this before, that would be really a bad precedent to set.
It would be a horrible precedent to
really
send,
scary,
number one. Yeah. It would be a horrible precedent yet to send. But number two, most importantly, we have to ask ourselves this question. What's wrong with us in the United States of America that we're cheering on a killer? I mean, there's something wrong. We're going to have to have
that's a whole. I mean, again, that's a whole separate conversation. Again, about the idea of people have problems with the healthcare industry, the insurance industry. Absolutely, totally justified. But that doesn't. Yeah, and of course, but what it doesn't mean is that you can justify assassination and say, oh, this is what it takes for there to be change. That's a whole separate issue. I'll move on to that for a second. I want to actually go back to Heather on this. I think we lost Tracy's connection, so if we can't get her back, Tracy Walder, thank you so much for coming on. Wish we had more time with you, but I want to go to you, Heather, about something. So look, these images, right? These images are what could potentially have solved this case, particularly the image of who appears to be Luigi Mangione in that hostel smiling. Talk to me about what it's like to process these kind of images. Do you expect more images to be coming forward during the course of this case? Because this was a killing that took place in a large metropolitan city. There are cameras everywhere. What are you going to be looking out for? And also, again, when you think about the processing of these images, how important they are.
Facial similarity is a huge aspect here. Something else to consider is some of the cameras are really grainy. So we need good quality to be able to see jaw structure, facial structure, how far your eyes are apart. So all those similar details go in, but also mannerisms. How do you stand? What is your stature? How are your hands held? If there's any objects, if you can see a cell phone in his hand or the type of jacket and attire, all of that will come into play and will be examined in detail.
Can you enhance the image? Let me rephrase. If you take the image of that person smiling, can it be put through a process where it can be enhanced and you might have a more positive identification to, let's say, Luigi Mangione?
Well, with forensic software and honestly, even implementing AI, anything's possible. You just have to make sure you have a human validate all of the findings.
Gotcha. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Philip Klein, thank you so much for coming on. And again, I'm so sorry for your loss. Really difficult situation for you and the family of Brian Thompson to be through, but thank you so much for coming on. Also, Heather Barnhart, really appreciate you coming on and your perspective. We're going to take a quick break. We have more guests that are coming on. We're going to continue this conversation. I see all of your questions coming in on YouTube. I'm going to answer it on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.